In the previous lesson, we looked at a bunch of things that will help in the short term. In this next lesson, we will expand and build on what the science of psychology has to say about happiness in the realms of positive psychology. In this subject, we'll go over what is positive psychology, how our view of the past, present, and future shapes our emotions, a place for gratitude, staying present, the art of hope, the choices we make. This can all sound a bit intimidating, but stick with me. I'll explain things in language I hope anyone can understand. Like with all the subjects, feel free to jump ahead if you already know the information. Here I would like to mention the sponsor of the video, the Happy app. The Happy app is a mental wellness hub with a multitude of free tools which can help you on your healing journey. There is a gratitude journal space, friendship space, and best of all, AI therapists you can chat with like regular people. It's an exciting time in history. Experience the convenience and wonders of the Happy app today. The link is in the description. In the 1970s, psychology underwent a significant transformation. Traditionally, the field had focused on mental illness, but in 1970, a new perspective emerged. This new approach asked how the science of psychology could not only alleviate illness but also promote mental and emotional well-being. Thus, positive psychology was born. According to positive psychology, happiness is a multifaceted concept, encompassing a range of emotions related to the past, present, and future. Positive emotions can include, for the past, satisfaction, fulfillment, pride. For the present, joy, calm, ecstasy, zest. For the future, optimism, hope, faith. These emotions are distinct and not necessarily interconnected. For instance, you might feel proud of your past achievements without feeling hopeful about the future. Conversely, you might experience numerous pleasures in the present while harboring resentment about the past or hopelessness for the future. Genetic influences and baseline happiness. Our baseline happiness tends to fall within a range similar to that of our parents, influenced by the genes we inherit. For one person, this range might fluctuate between extreme happiness and neutrality, while for another, it might swing between mild happiness and deep misery. Life events can temporarily boost our mood, but we generally return to our genetic baseline. The encouraging news is that we can control how we feel about the past, present, and future. Let's explore how. Some may feel as though the traumas of childhood lock us into how we feel as adults. However, the good news is that there is very little evidence to support this. Evidence shows that very little of what happens to us at childhood affects our baseline range of happiness later in life. To foster fulfillment in life, positive psychology encourages us to view our past through a positive lens. Instead of dwelling on setbacks, focus on the lessons learned, achievements, and moments of resilience. For instance, consider a disappointing experience from your past. Rather than fixating on the disappointment, reflect on the strength and resilience you nurtured during that time. How did that experience contribute to your growth? There have been many studies which show that instead of harboring bitterness about the past, choosing to focus on positive outcomes instead is far more conducive to fulfillment. This lends us to the practice of gratitude. Research shows that people who spend more time in a state of gratitude are also more happy, and inversely, people who spend more time with thoughts of bitterness and resentment feel less happy overall. A study involving college students who practiced keeping a gratitude journal found significant positive effects on their well-being. These students were asked to regularly write down things they were grateful for. The findings showed that those who maintained a gratitude journal experienced increased happiness. The students reported higher levels of overall happiness compared to those who did not keep a gratitude journal. Improved mood. Regularly recording moments of gratitude led to more positive moods and emotions. Reduced stress and depression. The act of focusing on positive aspects of their lives helped reduce feelings of stress and symptoms of depression. Enhanced sense of well-being. Keeping a gratitude journal contributed to an enhanced sense of overall well-being and life satisfaction. These outcomes highlight the power of gratitude practices in fostering emotional and psychological health. Here is an exercise for you to try. For the next 2 weeks, set aside 5 minutes at the end of each day. Take a notepad and sit quietly thinking about your day. Take the time to list all the things you truly feel grateful for in that moment. It could be people, events, or even your own resilience or determination in the day. You could be thankful for the roof over your head, the food in your belly, or the loved ones under that roof. Now, there is a test you can take on the Happy app, which can measure your level of gratitude. To really know the effect this exercise is having, I encourage you to take the test at the beginning of the 2 weeks, then again at the end. How did it change by doing the exercise? Positive psychology also teaches us that remaining present in the moment can help us with contentment. Many of us can easily get stuck fixating on our previous mistakes, hardships, or traumas, or else stuck in the future mindset of worrying about tomorrow. The Bible says it well when Jesus said in Matthew 6:34, "Therefore do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own." When you fixate on either the past or the future, you are missing out on the present and all the potential beautiful moments and experiences. Positive psychology encourages us to savor and appreciate the present. It's about being mindful, finding joy in the little things, and fostering gratitude. Take a moment to think about something positive happening in your life right now. It could be a personal achievement, a meaningful relationship, or a moment of beauty. How does acknowledging and appreciating this positive aspect contribute to your overall well-being? Something else about focusing on the present moment is that for most of life, the condition of fear is actually not something that is happening now, but rather something that might happen in the future. In this, we have emotions of unease, anxiety, worry, dread, nervousness, etc. With things happening in the present, we are empowered to act, whereas for things to possibly happen in the future, we are far less empowered. We cannot cover every possible outcome in life, and when we try, we will always come up short and lose the precious experiences in the present. Another important lesson positive psychology teaches us about lasting contentment in the present is what is called a state of flow. This is something we touched on in the last lesson. Opposite to fleeting pleasures, flow focuses on the idea of gratifications and a state of focus where time seems to disappear. In such a deep state of focus and concentration, there is no emotion, no self-consciousness or sense of self at all. Time seems to stand still. A flow state is like a complete state of absorption in something of deep interest, which typically demands your full attention. Many activities can transcend a person to a state of flow. However, not all people can reach such a state. Gratification dispels self-absorption, and the more one has the flow that gratification produces, the less depressed one is. Authentic Happiness by Martin Seligman. There is a difference between pleasure and gratification. For example, someone sitting watching TV might be completely distracted and entertained, but after the show ends, they return quickly to their previous state of emotion. Similarly for someone diving into the hot chocolate sundae. Now take another example of a musician honing their craft. They are practicing a new song on the piano, completely absorbed by the activity. Hours pass in what seems like minutes. Then they finally perfect the tune, their fingers gracing over the notes at lightning speed. Then they catch the time and finish practice. But something remains. It's a deep sense of accomplishment that they have added a new song to their repertoire. They have increased their skill at something which will literally put food on the table and also deeply nourish their soul. All these ingredients are at the core of states of flow and fulfillment in the present. A state of flow seems to not just be about being in a state of distraction, but rather it ties into a sense of achievement, mastery, and passion. Research shows that people who more frequently enter a state of flow also score better on scales of happiness at the time as well as later in life. Hope and optimism for the future are powerful emotions. When we lack these or shift to the opposite ends of the spectrum, we can feel awful. Indeed, in a sense, your thinking about the future can become what's called a self-fulfilling prophecy. For example, if you think you never succeed in life, you're much less likely to try in the first place or persevere in the face of hardship and failure. So not only can hope and optimism manufacture better feelings in the present, but they can also motivate you to action to make a lasting difference in your life. Here I will walk you through how to manufacture hope and change your thinking about the future. In positive psychology, two important dimensions of your optimism style are permanence and pervasiveness. Let me explain. For permanence, when we think about ourselves, our situation, or any problems, we automatically assign it either as a short-term condition or something more permanent. For example, you fail an exam. People who see it with more permanence will see themselves as failures in life who can never catch a break. More positive people who view it with less permanence may think they just had a bad day or didn't properly prepare for that particular exam. Here are some more examples. Greater permanence. Diets never work. With less permanence, this diet didn't work. Greater permanence, my boss is overly critical. Less permanence, my boss is just having a bad day. Can you see how your view of how permanent the problem is can affect your level of hope for the future? These are all negative situations, but the opposite can be true also for positive situations. For example, you win a race. A positive long-term way of thinking is you're a talented person. A negative short-term way of thinking is you just got lucky. Now, if we look at the dimension of pervasiveness, it relates to how one problem or setback leaks over into other areas of our life. For example, for that person who failed their exam, they're unhappy when they get home, when they're at work, or at a party the next night. High pervasiveness has caused that disappointment to spill over to all other areas of their life. For another, the sense of disappointment leaves them as soon as they walk out of the classroom. Low pervasiveness. Typically, more happy and optimistic people are the ones who can see their negative situations as more temporary and their positive situations as more permanent. They are also able to separate and isolate their negatives in life so they don't spill over and affect the rest of their life, yet embrace and hold on to the good events so they do. These people are the super optimists. According to Martin Seligman, the father of positive psychology, whether or not we have hope depends on two dimensions taken together: finding permanent and universal causes of good events, along with temporary and specific causes for misfortune, is the art of hope. Finding permanent and universal causes for misfortune and temporary and specific causes for good events is the practice of despair. The good news is that optimism and hope can be learnt and harnessed. We have already covered what to do next, back in our lesson on CBT. This is no different than challenging our thoughts and beliefs. Here is an exercise to try. Over the next week, when something doesn't go your way, call it a negative event, and try to take note of your thoughts. Take note of the ABCD, where A is the antecedent or activating event, B is the belief that is triggered within us, and C is the consequence of feelings which are produced. When you have time to process the event, it's time for you to add the dispute, or D, to the equation. This is how we change our thinking from pessimistic to optimistic, and in the process generate a mindset of hope. Dispute those thoughts, finding permanent and universal causes for good events, along with temporary and specific causes for misfortune. So in summary, we learnt that the way we perceive the past with feelings like pride, the present with feelings like gratitude, and the future with feelings like hope will enable us to have greater lasting happiness. Learning how to activate each of these is also an effective tool to be able to control our emotions, and choosing to focus on one or the other will help us in times of trouble. For example, if we are feeling hopeless about the future, we can choose to focus on the now, look at what we have, and feel gratitude for the present. If we are going through a hard time in the present, we can choose to look at all the things to look forward to in the future and know that our present suffering is temporary. If we struggle with the present and the future, we can choose to look back on the past and feel a sense of pride for what we have achieved and the difficulties we have overcome. No matter where you are in life, you can choose to draw a sense of happiness from parts of your life you do feel positive about. Furthermore, when you are writing daily in your gratitude journal, I encourage you to add 2 extra points each day. The first is what you are proud of from your past, whether that be something difficult you overcame or maybe a good deed. The next point is something you are hopeful about in the future. You are choosing to grow positive emotions that you can hold on to. Going one step further, you may take the time to see yourself in that future already having achieved or reached that goal. Do this each night, ideally before you go to bed. Doing this will not only help your mood, it may also help motivate you to strive for what you're hoping for and help you to achieve it. It will also give you a positive mindset to wake up to and start the day on the right side of the bed. In the next lesson, we are going to talk about the view we have of ourselves and how that enters into the happiness equation. So that finishes our topic on positive psychology. In our next lesson, we'll go over how the view we hold of ourselves influences our happiness and how to shape that view for the better. Finally, although this course is free for you, it was not free to get it to you. If I have helped you, all I ask is to think about supporting me with a small donation to my Patreon account or grabbing my happiness handbook on Amazon. The links are in the description. Your help allows me to continue creating these courses, reaching others, and spreading the joy in every language.